Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven Unscripted Success podcast. We have an awesome guest on today. We have Manny Pozo, and Manny is the co-owner of BioResponse Restorations. How are you doing, Manny?
Doing well. Thank you for having me, Nariman.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time to come on. How's the weather down in Miami?
Rainy. Doesn't stop raining. We were actually in a drought this summer, right? They were calling it a drought. It just wasn't raining as much as normal. And I think we've made that up in the last month. It's been raining every day, all day for about a month now. So we're ready for Florida fall.
Right. I'm over in Naples, so it's been pretty swampy, but the last week has actually been very nice. The humidity's cut down quite a bit, so yeah, we're pretty happy here. So
it's been rough here, but that being said, the business I'm in, usually rain is good, and it is good. It's just on the personal level, I'm a big fisherman and everything. It's been hard to get out on the weekends and get out there and do fun stuff when it's raining all the time.
Yeah, that's no fun. So why don't you start off with telling us a little bit about your business and what you do and what you do.
Sure. Name of the company is BioResponse Restoration. 50% owner, my partner, which is a good friend from high school. He's a firefighter, and right now what we're doing is water remediation, mold remediation, fires. We do asbestos abatement as well. But when we started the company, it was the brainchild of my partner, which was to start essentially a crime scene cleaning company or blood company, or also biohazard, which is why we're called BioResponse, right? We responded to bio. He was on a call where an older lady had cut herself by accident. She was on Coumadin, blood everywhere, and the family asked if they were going to be cleaning at the firefighters, and they said no, they don't do that. And they said, who does it? And that's when he started to realize, wait a minute, who does do that? He came to me because I was, more business oriented, and we started the company as a side gig 20 years ago. And about 10 years ago, we pivoted. It was always a side gig. We had government contracts. We were cleaning up crime scenes at night, working by day, cleaning up things at night. We got a government contract that got us kind of going. That side gig started to get a little bit bigger. And then eventually about 10 years ago, we pivoted and started doing water, fire, mold restoration. And then at that point, shortly thereafter is when I was finally able to leave my gig at Johnson & Johnson and the medical industry and be able to focus on this business. And it's done very well since. And now we work out of South Florida. We travel Florida whenever the job is big enough, but also we essentially chase hurricanes now as well for the last about 7 years. We've been chasing hurricanes. So, been going a lot in Florida, Louisiana, Texas as well.
Wow, so you guys are all over the place, not just in Florida.
No. I mean, again, we travel for the CAT events. We call catastrophic events. But our day-to-day is definitely in Florida. We never close in Miami, Florida, ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same in Naples here. I mean, it's all Florida. It's constant with the hurricanes and the weather and the rain and the that. So
and again in Miami, we've got a lot of buildings. I mean, obviously you look at Fort Myers and the West Coast, along the coast of Florida, there's buildings everywhere, but Miami's highly density. So there's always issues, pipes breaking, roof leaks, like you said, drain issues. Mold is probably the biggest sector that we do volume wise. Every day we're doing a mold job.
Wow. So let me ask you this. When you think back, are there any moments that you'd say really changed the game for your career?
Definitely once we committed to the business of saying we're no longer happy with a side gig. It also helped, which, I think is a great lesson that, whenever there's a challenge, there's something that can be negative. There's usually something there. There's something positive in that. Again, we were kind of getting complacent with our business, and that we had these government contracts and it was bringing in some money. But as soon as that contract with the county and there was some movements on budget cuts, it started to go down and down and down. And now we're going into negative on our growth. We weren't growing at all. Before that, we were growing maybe 2%, 3%. And then at that point, we had to realize, is this something we want to continue to do? Or are we going to double down on it? And we started to look around and see where there was going to be some opportunities. I had another idea, which was infectious disease cleaning, preventative schools, gyms, those type of things, and it failed miserably. But then a year later, after licking our wounds, we pivoted to mold, water, and the restoration business. And then it started to really take off. Then we had Hurricane Irma kind of sideswipe Miami and got us really busy as well. And then after that, we were off to the races. But again, it started off with failure, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything, I mean, most businesses do. And the ones that do strive, such as yours for 20 plus years now, are the ones that just keep going and going and going, you know. And
absolutely. Yeah, there's something about persistence. And you know what the funny thing about that failure was? The one I mentioned about the infectious disease cleaning, we went and nobody was doing it at the time. We wanted to, essentially coat the whole gym or school with this disinfectant, so that we can try to reduce infectious diseases in these places that were high risk. Again, schools, gyms, those type of things. And we bought a bunch of equipment. We did a lot of research. We looked at things like the cruise industry, which deals with this very often. And we spent, at that time it was about $15,000, which was a lot to us. And like I said, it failed miserably. And then it was all sitting in the corner of our warehouse. And then about 5 years later, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, all of a sudden there was this renewed interest in infectious disease. And all we had to do was look in the corner of our warehouse, get everything cleaned up. And we knew about PPE. We obviously knew about infectious disease cleaning. And next thing you know, we are the primary vendor for Miami-Dade County and much of the municipalities down here. So we're extremely busy. It was actually the best year we've had. Lately, we've been surpassing those numbers, revenue years from 2020, 2021. But again, at a time where we thought we'd be closed and wouldn't be cleaning up people's homes with mold, next thing you know, an opportunity sprung up from our past failures. So there's a great lesson there in life and in business. Absolutely.
Sure. That's fantastic. So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when rolling the dice really worked out for you?
Well, yeah, obviously the restoration business, like I said, that was rolling the dice. Cause again, where me and my partner committed to, any of the profits that we had in our business, again, this side gig, we were going to commit to it. We weren't going to pay ourselves. It was a complete risk, and though I will say, Richard Branson, I heard him in an interview for a book that they were spotlighting entrepreneurs talking about risk. And that's what I think I subscribe to, right? There's this side to business owners that they are these willy-nilly risk takers, right? That they just go out there and they get our credit cards and they put everything on the line. And yeah, of course we do, but it's always a calculated risk, right? I always think of how far am I able to push this without ending up homeless and ending up my family, also homeless. So, definitely we look at risk, but I think one of the things that separates entrepreneurs is that we accept the risk. We understand that if we want a reward, there's going to be a risk. So definitely for us, the restoration business was already a risk. And by the way, when we started our company 20 years ago, we were, these young 29-year-old guys didn't have much. My partner was a firefighter. I was working as a pharmaceutical rep, but to commit $20,000 to it, was a big deal. And it was a risk. More than the money has been the time. The sweat equity we put into our business. There's nothing on my balance sheet that shows that. When I go to sell this business or pass it on to family, sons, whatever our succession plan is in the future, there's no way that I can ever get that repaid. But then again, I've been repaid in so many more ways for my business, mainly obviously providing for my family. And also, honestly, the great feeling I get when I help out, these homeowners and these property owners that are going through some rough times. I think that's really what's given, honestly, when it's all said and done, it's given me purpose in life. And that's the biggest takeaway from the risk that we took.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're giving back by helping them through a tragic moment in their life, whether it be the mold or a pipe broke and there goes their entire kitchen and furnishings and dealing with having to bring that all back together while living there. So
we have a motto here by our response, which is "We got this." Right? It's a very simple three word motto. But when you walk into their homes and their head is spinning, they're scared. They don't know what's going on. They're obviously worried about their health with mold, especially. But even the water, now people know that water turns into mold, and it's just chaos in their homes. And we step up. We come in with experience. We come in with confidence and we just let them know, we got this. Don't worry. Leave this on us. We'll take care of your home. Honestly, we also realize that if we can get that going, they're going to get their lives back in order, which is what we all want, right? If they're in the moments of chaos, is to get order out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
Well, I would say, I think there's books on it already, so I'm not really rewriting anything, but definitely, I would say two things. Number one is grit. There's a whole book named Grit, right? How important it is to, persevere. You said it earlier. If you just stick it out 20 years, you know how many things, how many challenges, how many times I've worried about making payroll, how many times in my mind at that time, I'm like, I'm done. As soon as I make this payroll, I am leaving this. I've been in situations early on. I'm not the type of guy that likes to get my hands dirty at that time, especially dealing with blood and those type of things that we're dealing with. But I put myself in these scenarios and these situations. And at the end, I'm always in the middle of it. I'm like, I'm done after this. I just got to get through today. And the next day I wake up and reality hits. It's like, no, I've got money in the line. I got a partner, a brother that I've got to show up for. I can't leave him alone, and just kind of keep going. Now, grit is the things that you do when it gets hard. But when things calm down, as a leader, you have to have a vision. You have to have a direction of which way you're going to go. I definitely spend a lot more times these days on working the strategy and the vision long term. And that's the good thing about once you get past a certain stage in your business, is that you're not just on the grind every single day. It should be thinking about or working on your business, not in your business. And that's something that I absolutely love. It's now given me a lot of purpose, right? Knowing I've got all these employees that are looking to grow themselves. They don't want to be stagnant. They want to grow and develop in their skills. They want to make more money. So that's my responsibility, is where are we taking this? So grit and vision.
Excellent. So, speaking of teams, leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? And can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
One thing is, if you plan to scale your business, right, and you really got to think about your business. If you're essentially just creating a job, if you're creating a job, then you could be the micromanager. You're going to be on every job site, right? But that's not what I want. I want to create a business. I want to create an entity that survives way beyond me. And when you do that, there's a lot of trust, right? Yes, you have to have procedures in place. You have to have training in place. You have to have set leaders that you trust. But ultimately, it's trust. Every day, we're doing 3 to 4 jobs a day, and they're going out there and they're representing BioResponse. They are our mascot. Rescue Rob is our mascot. They are them, right? And, in a world where people can instantly destroy your company with the review, that's a lot of trust, right? I have people that came into this country 5 or 6 years ago. They got legal. They started working. They don't know the language too well. They don't know the culture too well. And they're out there in somebody's home or business, and they're representing us, right? 20 years of business, right? So I have to have trust, but obviously I have to prepare them properly. But I think in the end, trust is what really matters the most with your team, and loyalty as well.
Absolutely. So when you're building your dream team, what's the one trait you always look for, and why?
Empathy. I would say empathy. Again, we are working with people that are going through tough times. Sure. If we walk in there thinking in terms of selfishness, what time am I going to get out of the job? When's my lunch break? Not being aware of your surroundings, and understanding that people are going through tough times, right? I think when we got our first job, it was a Thanksgiving, and I had invested all this money, waited 3 months, hadn't had a call. Then we got a call for a suicide. We were about to start having Thanksgiving dinner, and here it is. And my partner says, "Hey, I know I promised you you'll never work at these jobs. You're just going to do the business stuff, but none of the people we train are answering their call." So by one side, I'm super happy. We got our first job. Finally, we're going to be at least somewhat out of the hole that we put ourselves into. Super excited about it. On the other hand, I'm freaking out because I'm about to go clean blood and a suicide.
Right.
I'd never seen, other than a couple funerals I've been to, I'd never seen anybody dead. And so when I go over there and I'm looking, waiting for sirens and police and all that, I don't see any of that. All I see are two people, older lady and another younger lady, and they're crying. And at that point, I realized that I was thinking about business. I was thinking about myself. And this goes back to the last question. I was being selfish, thinking about that. And I totally forgot that I was walking into the worst day of that person's life, right? The older lady, that was her son. And it's Thanksgiving. And at that point, I realized the importance, of the empathy, but also that, there's a lot of things to look when you're dealing with your clients, right? It's not just about, the what's going on in the property. It's what's going on in their lives.
Right. Boy, what a tragic situation. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
How do you encourage your team to think outside of the box and bring new ideas to the table?
Well, again, that goes back to the trust, right? They trust that I'm not going to just dismiss them, make fun of them if they come up with ideas. I listen to them. I intake it. We talk about it with our management team. And so, that's the biggest thing. Also, I have a motto. It's not my motto. I've heard it somewhere else and I stole it, which is bad news doesn't get better with time, right? Which is meaning that they're going to make mistakes. They might break something that wasn't broken before. And the worst thing that we as a management team hate is when people just do something that's a mistake and just won't admit to it because they're scared. And we really say that from the training periods. Obviously, we don't want them to go out there and make mistakes, but we know it's part of the business. They're gonna make mistakes. So let's just own up to it. Let's get on it. And let's get it fixed. Many a times I've lost money on a job because we made a mistake or something didn't turn out right or something got broken by accident, and we fixed it. And you know what? We got referrals from those people because they were appreciative that we owned up to it and took care of it. I can't be so short. Again, 20 years in business, you can't think short term. And I want another 20 years in business. So we can't think short term. We might take a loss at times. But we know in the long run, this is our reputation, and our team can just do their work without working in fear.
Sure. So I'm curious with what you're doing here. So what does a day in your life look like? How do you juggle work and every day and everything else?
Yeah, well, family obviously is important. I take my kid to school almost all the days, every day. He's 15. He'll be driving next year. So this is last year I could do that. And sometimes I'm not happy about that. I got things to do, but wake up super early at 5 o'clock. I get my workout in, come back, make them a quick breakfast. And then I take them to school. Usually the phone calls are already starting to come in around that time, 7:30, 8 o'clock as my employees are going out. A lot of my work is done in the field. I'm the main business development person. I have a couple of salespeople, but I'm the main business development person. It's really what I've done all my life and really what I really enjoy. Occasionally I check in on jobs, always speaking to my operational manager that's handling all the daily stuff and my partner as well. And just constantly every day, I try as much as possible to schedule the day. I think if you schedule your day, it really gives you, again, a vision of your day and the direction. So you're not kind of getting lost with it, but really do my best to have a schedule, and then also be flexible enough to jump on opportunities, to deal with critical issues that happen. I try. There's another book. I can't believe there's a whole book on it. All you need to title is "Don't Eat Alone." So I always try to have a lunch set up with either somebody that's either a friend or, more importantly, somebody that can can be a friend that can help us in business down the line and provide referrals or whatnot. So that's pretty much my day, which is, again, scheduled daily task stuff, but also remembering what I said earlier, which is that you are working on your business, not in your business most of the time. Yeah. Obviously, there are times you got to get into your business, but most of your day, at least at my level, which is, executive president of my company, is working on my business.
Sure.
Or on relationships to help the business.
Right. Constantly growing it and nurturing it.
Always. If you're not
Always.
growing, you're dying. I mean, look, we've just come through a period of inflation, right? Imagine, I think I heard since 2020, we're looking at about 21% inflation. I think it might even be higher than that. Imagine. So if your company, you were happy with a 5% growth, you're in the same place that you were before, right?
Sure.
Your employees want to get paid more. They have to get paid more. Obviously, I live in a city in Miami where it's extremely expensive. If we're not doing better as a company, I can't give them raises. If I can't give them raises, they're going to leave Miami and they're going to find other places to live or go to other places that will pay them more to be able to live. And that's not what we want. We want growth here.
Absolutely. So speaking of books, has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
The first one that always stands out is my first kind of game changer, which was in my 20s. It was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's essentially a Bible for me. I still open it up, just open it up at any point and read it. There was so much to learn. I didn't have the best, stable childhood, if you will. So to have that really put everything in order for me of what I wanted or what I should be implementing into my life. I wanted to be successful. And if I wanted to be successful, I needed certain habits and more than anything, the mental side of it, right? The things that really will change. When you change your outlook, it'll change everything. And that book did that for me, without a doubt. I love Tony Robbins. I went to one of his things, and it's not, we always think of Tony Robbins as like this rah motivational. Without a doubt, there's that. But he really, again, changed my mindset on a lot of things. I'll just, do this one thing I mentioned earlier a little bit about, my upbringing, which is, if you are going to blame something, or like, for instance, your parents for something, and then you come out of it a certain way and you're okay, then you also have to give them the credit. And that was a big deal for me. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And that type of mentality. And then recently I've really gotten into my faith. And that's really the game changer for me as I look into my next half of my life and my children get older and me and my wife are empty nesters at some point, and realizing, that my faith and my belief in God is at the core of who I am and everything I really do.
Sure. I agree with that 100%. I think this world lacks God in their life, with all the challenges and the social media out there and all these influences, and it's the number one thing that I've noticed is a lack of God in their life and faith.
Yeah. Well, just recently I heard something that I knew what drew me to it, other than, obviously I always had the upbringing of God, but I didn't really necessarily believe, and had a moment that's for another podcast, but had a moment that made me want to just surrender and submit. Right. That's one of the things I always loved about people of faith, right? Give it to God, as they say, let go and let God. But I had a lot of problems with that. Again, around my own business, I have to have control over my life. And there was many a times I realized I have no control over this right now. I have no control over a situation. And then, so in the podcast, what I heard the other day was, quitting is quit. You can quit, or you can surrender, right? And when I say surrender, surrender to God. And so the difference between those two is surrendering is trust in God, that He's leading the way, and He's going to lead me, even if it's something that I don't necessarily agree with, something that I don't want. I'm a human. There's wants, there's things that I want. But how many times have we heard it, right? You don't get what you want, you get what you need. And I trust that that's the right thing, and I am no one to question Him. So in the end, I've surrendered, and that is can't tell you what a great feeling it is to surrender and submit. It's a daily practice, though. Sure,
yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. How do you tackle learning new things, especially stuff that's way outside of your comfort zone?
That's a good one. I think you have to realize that the old saying, old dogs can't learn new tricks, is BS. It really is. In fact, we have to learn new things if we wanted to grow. Our brains have neuroplasticity you can learn, right? Yes, you can destroy your brain cells drinking whiskey every week. And then trust me, I like whiskey, but I also have to train. Like I go to the gym every day. I constantly have to try new things. I have to challenge myself. When we got the asbestos license, I had to go right back to school and learn that. Right now, I'm back into school to get our general contractor's license. And I think there's a lot of people that avoid that because it's work and there's also failure in that. The only way you learn, honestly, is by failing. One of the only ways to learn, and to put hard work into it. And what happens is it's not the journey. I mean, it's not the destination, it's the journey. The actual act of trying to learn is that's the secret. That's what it is. We can stay as young as we can possibly can, and mentally, by doing new things, and physically, by the way, because every time I try a new type of workout, a new thing, it changes how my brain now thinks, and it changes the connections to my muscles, and it's a constant. So if you want to continue to grow, and I think that's like a really big theme right now that we've talked about, right, in our business. But personally, you should look for growth, because like I said with the business, if you're not growing, you're dying. I think it applies the same way with us as humans.
Sure, absolutely. So it sounds like things are going well for you in your business. I'm wondering if or have you ever invested in passive income, and what's the source of passive income that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have my 401ks, my IRAs, that type of thing. I'm like many others now starting to dabble with the stock exchange. We do not have we have all plans of buying a couple of rental properties. So that's definitely in the works. Right now, the market, as you know, has been tough. So we've been kind of holding back on that. But, I couldn't, when you look at the S&P and the New York Stock Exchange, if we had invested in, $10,000 20, 30 years ago, we would have a lot of money. So I've always been investing for retirement reasons, but now as I'm getting closer to, not that I ever plan to retire, but to a point where I don't have to look on work for my money, and the money can work for itself. Again, passive income. Definitely, the stock market, and really having kind of a diversified look out there. Me and my partner, once or twice, being in the industry we do encounter a couple of flip situations in homes, and we've done that a few times in the past. We always just sell them and flip them. Now we're talking about trying to keep them and maybe rent them out going forward. There's a big workforce housing crisis here in Miami, Florida, and we need cheaper homes that people can rent. So that's one of the areas that we're also looking into, is again on the real estate side. But just continuing to get to that point. Another saying I heard a long time ago from a very seasoned, wise old man. He says, "Look, at first you work for people, then you're going to get to the point where you're going to work for yourself. Then people are going to work for you, and then your money's going to work for you." And I think I'm getting to that point now where my money has to work for me. And that's, again, back to the passive income. And I've had some of the money, but now I can kind of double down on that. And we're looking for those opportunities all the time. When I say we, it's me and my partner. We're same age, same part of our lives, essentially. And we built this business, and now we're thinking about how can we diversify a little bit. Sure,
absolutely. So what's on the horizon for you? Any big goals or projects you're excited about that are coming up in the next 6 to 12 months?
That's a great question. We are so focused on our business, and it's funny because we were like, 20 years. I feel like our business is brand new. Almost every day I have the same feeling, a startup feeling, right? And also I do get myself in other things. We have opened up an air conditioning company 3 years ago. I have a great partner on that side. So my partner in buyer response, Rick, and we've partnered up with a very experienced gentleman that has great commercial experience. And we've been grooming him, working with him for the last 2 or 3 years. And now in the next 6 months to a year, we're going to start heavily investing on the marketing side, trying to get a lot of maintenance contracts. It's called Keep Your Cool Air Conditioning. Cool. And that's where we're putting a lot of effort into that and resources into getting that going. So, not that I'm a serial entrepreneur, but definitely I'm always looking for the next, potential big thing, if you will. And I love it because, now we have a playbook. We've made so many mistakes, and we get to utilize those mistakes and try to save some money, understanding that we are probably going to make some more mistakes. Not probably, for sure, going to make some more mistakes,
Sure.
but we're going to do it right, and we're going to fail forward fast. So we're definitely excited about Keep Your Cool and the direction of where that's going, especially in the next 6 months to a year.
That's exciting. That's a great name too. Keep Your Cool.
Yeah, Keep Your Cool air conditioning.
It's catchy.
Yes.
Definitely catchy. Well, for anyone out there who wants to get a hold of you or needs your services, how does one get a hold of you?
So you can look at our website, www.bioresponsecorp.com, bioresponsecorp.com. You can email me directly, Manny.Pozo@bioresponsecorp.com. You can look on our handles on LinkedIn. I have one called Rescue Rob. That's, again, a story for another day of why we came up with that. That's our mascot. He's our avatar. I'm also on LinkedIn myself. I'm at the head of a couple of boards, large associations here. I'm on the board, I should say. And so I always put a lot of content on there that can help just business owners, especially within Miami. So you can find me on there, Manny Pozo. Instagram, I personally don't do as much in all those type of social medias, but definitely you can hit us up there. And our number is 855-887-4272. That's if you have an emergency, give us a call. We'll be there. Obviously, rapid response is something that's very important to us and to the promises that we make to our clients.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on today and share your story. And guys, you heard it. If you need Manny's services, you get a hold of him on his website, gave you the number, and you can find him on LinkedIn as well. Thanks again for coming on, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you. Great questions. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.